Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Someone say yes or no.
Yes, very good.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, my name is Christina Kasica, and I will be teaching Organic Sanskrit 1 to everyone today. And I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much for joining. This will be an unusually challenging class for translators to translate. So just do the best you can. Don't worry too much, and we'll make it work as we go along. So, how many people do we have here today? Does somebody know? I can't see the statistics on the bottom. Marina knows the answer to all these questions. 16, 18, great. And how many language groups? I want to know how many people who are non-English speaking are with us today. So if you don't speak English, but you have another language, put it in the chat. I see Vietnamese, I see Chinese. Okay, Spanish, yay, Claudia. Okay, that sounds great. And the reason I ask, not only because I care and it's interesting, but we will be using a number of American English examples. So they may or may not translate well into your language, but we'll do what we can. Now, our class today is called A for Apple. Okay, so why is that? We will now learn. Now, I want everyone, please, put away your notebooks, laptops, papers, pencils, just for 1 minute. Do not take any notes. So we're going to recite together the primal sound of Sanskrit. So everybody take a deep breath. Now we're going to make a sound together. I'll do it first, so keep breathing. And then I want you to recite with me. So here's the sound, the primal sound of Sanskrit. Okay, now everybody unmute yourselves and say with me, 1, 2, 3.
Uh,
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 good. Not Sugang. Yes, that's great. uh, okay. Does anybody feel brave enough to say that by themselves, not with the group? Besides, Sugang, you feel brave enough. Good. How about Tan Ho or Ying Hui or Sharon? Come on, you can do it. Uh,
uh, uh,
ah, uh.
uh, uh,
Ying Hui, was that you?
yeah.
Okay. Sharon? Anybody else? Okay. All right.
And it's translate. I'm not do it. Or you can go to Chinese channel.
Chinese? Oh, Sharon is translating,
Yes.
interpreting. Okay. Sorry. All right. That's good. So, Marina, may I have the first slide? Well, the second one. Next one. Yes. Okay. So in English, we have a word cat. Cat. Everybody say cat. I'm not hearing you. Speak up, cat. Unmute yourself.
Cat.
Yes, cat.
Cat.
Here is
Cat.
cat. Perfect. There is no such sound in Sanskrit. And this is very, very important. So there's no cat, no sound like that. That letter in the middle, when you say it in Sanskrit, is Okay, so our language groups here, how do you say that in Malaysian? How do you say that in Chinese? Do you have an sound? Anyone? It's
Yes.
very interactive class. You have to participate. Sugang, what is it, Malay?
Yeah, we have that in Indonesian, in Malay,
You have
in Chinese.
yeah,
Papa, mama.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to put that sound aside. You're not supposed to hear that when we speak Sanskrit. Okay.
Okay.
So let's go. If I can make my PowerPoint work. Let's go to the next slide. This is the letter in Sanskrit. Isn't that a beautiful letter? It's called the Devanagari alphabet. And this is the way you write the letter It's not it's Let's go to the next slide. So this is something that works well in English, but if you're not an English speaker, we may find some challenges here. So what I want to do is apply what we just learned. We know there's no sound, and this sentence in English is full of sounds. So we're going to read this sentence using the Sanskrit which is the letter A in Sanskrit. So I'll go first, and then I want volunteers, so get ready. So here's how it would sound if you read this with the Sanskrit The bud, pluck, cut, run across the buck yord, right? That's how it would sound in Sanskrit. So I need some volunteers to read this in English with the Sanskrit accent. Please volunteer. Who wants to do this?
I can do.
Yes.
The butt, black cat ran across the backyard.
Pretty good. I heard a ran. How would you say that?
Oh, run. Oh, okay. The
Run.
butt, black cat ran across the backyard.
Yes, run across the backyard. Okay. So it's very different, and we're going to focus on this a lot in Sanskrit 1. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. There are actually no exceptions. It's 100% true. It's just like karma. Everything goes according to karma, right? No exceptions, no matter how bad the disaster is. In Sanskrit, it's always no exceptions. Okay, let's try the next slide. All right, so bring back your paper and pen. Computers won't work too well here, so try to find something to write on. Not a big piece, can be some small note paper. Now, when you write Sanskrit, it is an alphabet and it is written, but it's a little bit like calligraphy. So if you like, you can go to the store or go online while you're in this class and get some nice brush markers. These are the ones with the soft tips that move on the paper. Sakura in Japan makes a nice one, Stettler in Germany, and there are many others. But you can easily use just a plain pencil is good, or even paper. All right, let's go to the next slide. This is a picture of how you actually write that beautiful letter I showed you earlier. So here you can see that that's the same letter, but this nice artist has given us a graphic as to where you start. You start at number 1, you make that curve, then underneath you make the curve 2 going off to the left, then off to the right, the slight connection with 3, then the downstroke, and then the top line. So please, everyone, let's take 2 minutes and draw this several times on your piece of paper with your pen. So we're just going to do that for 2 minutes. I will time us. Okay, that's good. Who is brave enough to show me what you wrote? I can't see too many people on the screen, but I can see some, and Marina can help me. Who can hold up their drawings to the screen? Ah, very nice. Beautiful, Natalie. Xintian, I love you. Thank you. Very nice. Okay, so this can be done, and we're going to practice a lot of the Sanskrit letters in this class. But this is the first one. So look, we've only been doing this for 15 minutes, and already you're pronouncing Sanskrit and you're writing it. You guys are good. All right, let's go to the next slide, Marina. Okay, here's a nice Sanskrit word. Sutra. Everybody say sutra. Can't hear you. Sutra.
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 Right. Okay.
Sutra.
So now sutra has several meanings in Sanskrit. It is most well known, perhaps, as a verse which is spoken by the Buddha. So the Buddha sutras are actual words spoken by the Buddha. But sutra also literally means thread, like a needle and thread. So you see that it is something that connects things. When you sew something, you connect two pieces of fabric together. So you may have noticed when you look at Sanskrit that there is a line across the top of the letters. And this line is called the sutra. And it's written across the top of any Sanskrit writing. Now, sometimes some of the letters will break the line and you'll see a gap, but most of the letters are written under it. So they're connected to the sutra by their tops, the top part of the letter, or sometimes there's a short upward stroke connecting it to the sutra. But you will see more of these examples as we go along. I just wanted you to know that that top line is called the sutra. So normal Sanskrit is written all together in one line with no breaks. So it starts at the left side of the page and it moves all the way to the right. And unlike many modern languages, and unlike Asian languages, which have characters that are separate, Sanskrit is written all in a long string. So that makes it challenging to understand when we're trying to translate where one word ends and the next one begins. So imagine if you saw your own language written like that. Let's have the next slide. Okay, so here's a page of Sanskrit, and you can see that it goes from the left to the right, all in one line. There's almost no breaks in this piece. You can see one or two, but 90% of it is just one word written across the line. So I also took for you, so that you can see the sutra, if you look underneath that graphic, you will see a line from the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, which means the Bodhisattva's way of life, written by Master Shantideva. And this is just a verse from there. And I want you to see how modern Sanskrit looks. Now you can see that it does break up the words. So some modern texts will break up some of the words or all of the words. So that's what it looks like in modern typed Sanskrit. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So this is an example of what I mean. Can anyone read this easily, either in English or there's a Russian? I think it's a Russian example here. The first one is that sentence we read earlier. The bud block cut run across the backyard. And then we have something in Russian. Katui pashevayesh. I think that means, how are you doing?
Yes.
Kaktui pashevayesh. Okay. So it's just harder to read when you don't have breaks between the words, right? So get used to it. We're going to have to deal with that. May I have the next slide? Here are some practice words. So I chose ones that mostly have the letter in them. So I'm going to say them. And then yes, thank you, Marina. I'm going to say them. And I invite you please to follow and say them with me. And some of them you may recognize, especially the first four from one of the dedications that we do, typically in our tradition. And some of them you may recognize from yoga or some of them from texts that you may have encountered. So let's just practice these. The first word there on the left is idam. Idam. Let's say idam. Open your mics.
Idam.
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 Good. And you notice that idam. Okay. That means this. It's just a simple word meaning this. What about the next one? Does somebody want to volunteer to pronounce that?
Ratna.
Not Ratna.
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 Ratna. Come on, guys. Ratna.
Ratna.
That's much better.
Ratna.
Good. Do you hear the difference, or is that too hard to hear the difference? Okay. So the next one is a word you probably know. It's mandala. Say
Mandala.
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 I hear a mandala. No. Mandala.
Mandala.
Good. And the next one I put in, it's a little longer, but if you've ever done the dedication in Sanskrit, you've heard this word. And the proper way to say it is niryatayami. Say
Yatayami.
not yami, yummy.
Yummy.
Niryatayami.
Yatayami.
Good. Now, the next one is something everybody's favorite pose in yoga, if you ever do yoga. So that one is pronounced Shavasana. Say Shavasana. Good. Shavasana. Not Shavasana. Shavasana. Okay. Now the next one I think is Geshe Michael's favorite word. Okay, so who wants to pronounce that one?
Vajra.
Adra?
Vajra.
Vajra. I heard a good one.
Vajra.
Not Vajra. Oh, Vajra. Perfect. Yes. Do you ever eat that American candy? The chocolate one is called fudge. Fudge. This is like that. Vajra. Yes. Very good. Very good. All right. And then the next one is a very famous philosopher that we're very fond of studying. And this person's name is Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna. Can you say that, please?
Nagarjuna.
I want to hear more.
Nagarjuna.
Yes. Good. Yes, that's very good. Okay, and the next one is a good one. Who wants to pronounce that? Now, Rasa.
Ananda. Ananda. Oh, Rasa. Sorry. Rasa.
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 Rasa. I want to hear more.
Rasa.
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 And that is a nice word that means taste. So we often hear eka rasa, one taste. And now one of Geshe Michael's other favorite words. What's the last one there? Who wants to pronounce?
Ananda.
Good. Ananda. Very good. So those are your words. And the first four you may remember from the dedication, Idam Ratna Gura. I can't even remember it. What is it, Sugain? Idam Ratna Guru Mandala Niryatayami. So it's a dedication that we give in our prayers that is in Sanskrit. And here's the right way to say those words. Do you remember the whole thing, Sugang?
Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami.
Perfect. Right. But now we have to say it with us. Good. All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay. I'm having trouble getting my PowerPoint to move on my side, but I will move it. Okay, there we go. So we've just been looking, when we practice the letter at the Devanagari, which is the alphabet that Sanskrit is written in. But most of the time, certainly in Geshe Michael's classes, you will see the Sanskrit language written in a Romanized script. So it's much easier for all of us to read it because our Chinese friends, our Russian friends, and certainly our European friends and most people from Malaysia and Singapore use the Roman alphabet habitually. So, because our Chinese and Russian friends are kind to us, so they use it. And again, we're going to be focused on English, an English basis for our study. So we want to know about transliteration. There are several systems of changing the Devanagari into Romanized alphabets. The one we will use is called IAST. It's the International Alphabet of Sanskrit Transliteration. It was invented around 1894, long time ago. And most European scholars use it. And it's our transliteration system of choice, and Geshe uses it. So we will learn this transliteration system organically. I wanted to mention two others for different reasons. Another transliteration system, and there are 5 or 8 of them, is called iTrans, and it's ASCII based. It's not as elegant as IAST, and it takes more letters. But the reason it was invented was so that you could type it into a computer keyboard. You can't easily type IAST into a computer keyboard. So for purposes of computerization, iTrans was invented. The third transliteration system I want to talk about is Geshe Michael's own everyday transliteration system. In this system, Geshe writes Sanskrit words in Roman alphabets without giving any indication of the different marks that you see in IAST. If you noticed on the slide we just reviewed, some of the letters had marks over them, and some of the letters had